Published in 2010 by American author Brent Weeks, The Black Prism is a fantasy novel set in a world in which a minority of people called drafters are able to harness magical power from all the colors of the light spectrum. The book currently sits at 4.2 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, and that is averaged from over 121,000 ratings. The Black Prism is the first book in a series consisting of 5 books total, and together they are called the Lightbringer series, which is the second series that Brent Weeks has published. The first one was called the Night Angel trilogy. Both of these series are popular, and Brent seems to have that personality which is so often seen in fantasy writers. His biography on his website describes him in these very self-aware and attempted humorous terms, and he even throws in some shade at other fantasy writers in the sleeve of the Black Prism novel, where he states that he in fact does not have long hair or cats. And this is funny, or at least his attempt to be funny, because so many fantasy authors usually have both of those in their biography, which I have noticed before, and he seems to want to set himself apart from the stereotypical fantasy author. But the fact that he says that kind of thing actually puts him squarely in the fantasy author stereotype. So nice try, Brent. The Black Prism plot centers around one main character, Gavin Guile, who is the emperor in the world of the 7 satrapies, and he carries the title of the Lord Prism. As the Prism, Gavin has exceptional power to influence the goings-on of the 7 satrapies and balance the political influence that each of those exerts, as well as literally balance the colors of the world to prevent one color of the spectrum from becoming too dominant when it comes to the magic that people are wielding. Magic in this world is called chromaturgy, which the practitioners use to create a material substance called luxin, which can then be used as a type of magical tool for various purposes, such as building or burning or even creating just pure, powerful energy. Like most other stories that take place in magical worlds, not everyone is able to draft this magic, but those who can are usually only able to work with 1 or 2 colors maximum, usually 2 colors that are situated near each other on the color spectrum, such as red and yellow, or yellow and green, or green and blue. Drafters must be able to see their colors in order to manipulate them, and unfortunately, the more that drafters use their magic, they move towards insanity, which is fully realized when the color halo in their eyes breaks and they become a danger to themselves and everyone around them. The world of the 7 satrapies is interesting and unique because Weeks has diverged from the more traditional medieval fantasy setting and the kingdom structure, and has instead drafted this civilization more closely to a democracy or a republic. And in this world, the technology looks like pre-industrial settings. There is gunpowder technology, but there are also more pre-industrial features like swords, ships that are powered by the wind, horses, and other archaic tools. Politically, the sovereignty of each satrapy creates interesting power dynamics, and each of the 7 regions is represented by a representative of one of the 7 colors on the light spectrum. So, as it's considered in this book, you have subred, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and superviolet, which is not visible to the human eye. These 7 representatives are supplemented by 2 additional powerful drafters, the Prism, who in this novel is Gavin, our main character, and then an elderly woman known as the White. The idea of a fantasy world with nations or factions represented by individual colors or elements is not totally unique, but the simplification really helps the reader easily visualize what makes the people of each region unique, and thus what ideals will fuel conflict between the various people groups. Readers will follow Gavin's struggle to delay escalating political tensions, maintain fractured personal relationships, and keep hidden the fact that he stole his brother Dazen's identity and keeps him imprisoned under the palace. Another significant plot follows Gavin's bastard son, Kip, and the struggles that he faces as he develops his own drafting powers. And the story culminates in this magical, massive battle within the disputed city of Garriston, and it's there that Kip learns that his conception may have been more complicated than he originally believed. Kip is probably the most relatable character of the novel, as he is the most ignorant of drafting and the magic and the world around him. Much of what the reader will learn about the lore of the world is communicated through dialogue involving Kip. And unfortunately, his character exhibits the most predictable personality in line with the traditional hero's journey origin story. Other characters and plots are much more complex here, such as Gavin's story, which is very twisting. He has vague motivations. On one hand, the reader will believe that they finally understand Gavin's goals, and then will suddenly discover that his story is branching into very unexpected directions, which is very pleasant as a reader. What really sets the world of the Black Prism apart is not its characters, but its magic, which can be considered a hard magic system, per Brandon Sanderson, as it follows defined rules and limitations. Color drafting is powerful enough to initiate these interesting creations and powerful weapons, but Brent Weeks has cleverly baked some severe limitations into its use. Drafting takes a physical and mental toll, and as I mentioned earlier, those who regularly use it have significantly shortened lifespans. This prevents the Superman dilemma. This is Brent Weeks' version of kryptonite. A character or magical characters in fantasy that do not have weaknesses or severe limitations are uninteresting and they are unrelatable. And so he has prevented that here in this novel. Characters feel capable, but the narrative always reminds the reader that drafters, even very powerful ones like Gavin and Kip, are not immune to suffering injury or even death in battle. The tone of the novel shifts between this lighthearted, whimsical world building to very jarring scenes of gruesome violence, while maiming and the evil that's happening is described in very surprising detail. There are similarities between the prose and world building of this novel and some of Brandon Sanderson's work, so readers who enjoy a Sanderson-type fantasy will probably really enjoy the Lightbringer series. In conclusion, the prose of the Black Prism is very approachable. The world defies easy categorization, and the plot is pretty interesting. Some characters are wearing plot armor, but they are likable enough to generate concern on behalf of the readers. The magic is fresh and unique, the political intrigue is decent, and Gavin's moral and political failures bring a complexity to the hero stereotype. For this reason, I give The Black Prism 4 stars out of 5. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please like this episode so I know what you want to hear more of. Subscribe as well for more reviews. And as always, happy reading.